I'm Madison, 30 years old. I married Thomas 5 years ago after he proposed. Thomas, 2 years younger and was quite handsome, had a reputation as a ladies' man, which sometimes caused issues. When he proposed, I told him, "Thomas, I'm thrilled about your proposal, but I have one concern."
What is it?
"You being a ladies' man, everyone knows about it." Hearing this, Thomas laughed.
That's because I never met a woman I truly loved before, but now that I have met you, Madison, I promise there won't be any rumors with other women.
"Can I trust you?"
Absolutely.
And so we got married. Our wedding took place at a prestigious hotel with a long-standing tradition. I wasn't keen on such a lavish wedding, but Thomas's family was well known in society and they always held weddings at this hotel. I had no say in the matter. At the reception, Thomas's family and relatives looked like they had won at life. In contrast, my family was small. My father died in a car accident when I was young, and I had no siblings. It was just my mom and a few relatives. I told my mom that we should invite more people to balance out the guest list, but she brushed it off with a laugh. Being a lawyer and head of her own firm, my mom was great at public speaking. Her speech at the reception was praised, but I was so embarrassed I wished it would end soon. The day after the wedding, we left for our honeymoon. We toured famous Australian tourist spots for 2 weeks, staying at top-tier hotels. 3 days after returning, Thomas went back to work. Though he called it work, he was the vice president of his father's company and was set to take over once his father retired. He always came home promptly at 5 p.m. We lived in a separate house on his parents' property. But this separate house was a spacious 6-bedroom home, and a 60-year-old maid who had looked after Thomas for years lived with us. So I hardly had to do any housework. My only task was preparing dinner. Thomas, probably spoiled growing up in a wealthy family, was very picky, not just about food, but also people. The maid informed me about his food preferences. He wouldn't touch anything he disliked, but if he loved something, he would want it every day. His absolute favorite was macaroni and cheese. He would eat it at home and even order it when we went out. Thanks to this, planning meals was a breeze. About a year after our marriage, Thomas suggested,
"How about a 10-day trip to Europe next month? You've never been there, right, Madison?"
"I would love to go, but can you take that much time off work, Thomas?"
"It's fine, my dad's there. I don't really do much anyway."
"If you're sure, then I'm in."
"Great, I want to bring along some friends."
I was surprised, thinking it would be just the two of us. Who's coming with us?"
"My college junior Anthony and his girlfriend. Anthony might even be more handsome than me, and his girlfriend is so cute. I'm quite envious."
Thomas laughed. I was concerned about the unfamiliar woman. "Another woman is coming?"
"Yeah, she's just 21, but Anthony really wanted her to come."
"If you're okay with it, Thomas, then so am I." Little did I know this trip would mark the beginning of the end for Thomas and me. The next month, we flew to England. Everything in Europe was new and exciting, and I kept taking photos on my phone. While Thomas didn't talk much to Anthony, he was very kind to Anthony's girlfriend, Brittany. Once, when Thomas went to the restroom, I struck up a conversation with Anthony. "You're Thomas's junior from college, right?" For some reason, Anthony hesitated before replying.
"Oh, yes, I am."
I laughed at his response. "You're funny, Anthony. You seem nervous."
No, not at all."
Just then, Thomas returned and saw us talking.
"Madison, what's going on? What are you telling Anthony?"
For some reason, Thomas seemed upset. "We were just chatting. Why? Is it wrong for me to talk to Anthony?"
It's not like that."
Even though Thomas said that, he seemed to interrupt whenever I spoke to Anthony or his girlfriend, making it hard for us to converse. During the trip, Brittany and I once went to the restroom together. I decided to share my observations with her. It might sound odd, but it seems like you and Anthony aren't really close. Brittany, clearly taken aback, replied, it's my first time traveling abroad, so everything's a bit overwhelming. Well, you're here in a foreign country with your boyfriend. Enjoy it. Thank you. The four of us moved on to France, visiting various famous tourist spots. Then, one evening at the hotel restaurant, Brittany was conspicuously absent. Anthony, where's Brittany?
She said she'd be a bit late. She should be here soon.
Thomas was visibly irritated. After waiting for a while without any sign of Brittany, Thomas said,
I'll go check on her.
I thought Anthony should be the one to go, but Thomas was already on his way. About 10 minutes passed and neither Brittany nor Thomas returned. I turned to Anthony. What's taking them so long? Is Brittany feeling unwell?
I don't think she was sick or anything. I'll go check on them.
When I opened the door to Brittany and Anthony's room, both of them seemed to hurriedly adjust their seating. Seeing this, I grew suspicious, but I calmly asked, what are you two doing here? Thomas said he was coming to check on Brittany, but you're both just sitting on the sofa.
Nothing's wrong. Brittany said she felt a bit off, so I was checking on her.
Oh, okay. I'll bring Anthony over.
This sounds good.
At that moment, Brittany remained silent, looking down. When I brought Anthony back to the room, Brittany stood up, ready to leave. Oh, are you feeling better now? I'm fine. Anthony just watched Brittany without saying a word. Our dinner that night was a quiet one, with none of us speaking. After dinner, we all returned to our rooms. Thomas, can I ask you something? As I said this, Thomas tensed up.
What is it?
What's the deal between you and Brittany?
What do you mean deal? She's just Anthony's girlfriend.
It doesn't seem like they're close at all.
They're both just quiet people.
It doesn't seem like they're just quiet. It's like they're not talking at all.
You're overthinking things, Madison.
Am I? When you were in Brittany's room earlier and I opened the door, you both seemed startled and adjusted your seating.
Enough. If you keep this up, you will ruin our trip.
After what Thomas had said, I didn't press the issue further, but my suspicions only grew. The incident happened the next day while we were touring. Suddenly, Thomas and Brittany were nowhere to be found. I searched frantically but couldn't find them. Anthony seemed to be looking too, but he didn't appear to be genuinely concerned. After about 2 hours, Thomas and Brittany suddenly reappeared. Thomas, where were you?
Where were you, Madison? Brittany and I were looking for you.
I was searching everywhere. Anthony didn't seem too worried though.
Well, what can I say?
Brittany, where were you? Brittany just looked down and didn't answer.
Brittany was with me, looking for you and Anthony.
Is that true, Brittany? Brittany gave a slight nod. I wasn't convinced, but didn't push further. From then on, Thomas stayed close, but he barely spoke to me for the rest of our European trip. Even when I tried to initiate conversation, his response was dismissive. The day after we returned, Thomas took a day off from work claiming he was tired. You've had a long vacation. Shouldn't you go to work? He replied with a sleepy face,
I'm good.
That moment made me realize how irresponsible he was about his job. The following Friday, just after 5 p.m., Thomas called.
I won't be coming home tonight.
Hold on, why?
You don't need to know every detail.
You're my husband, Thomas. Of course, I have the right to know. He hung up without another word. I was sure it had something to do with another woman, probably Brittany. The next day, Saturday afternoon, Thomas returned home with a lawyer. Without any preamble, the lawyer said,
You owe $50,000 in compensation for adultery.
Thomas smirked and added,
Just pay up.
I was dumbfounded. Why was this lawyer making such a claim? As I stood there in shock, the lawyer handed me his business card and left with Thomas. Thomas, if you're leaving, at least explain. But he left without a word. I gathered myself and called my mom using the number on the card. Mom, are you free? What happened? This lawyer hired by Thomas just came and demanded $50,000 claiming I committed adultery. I'm so confused. Did you? Of course not. Then don't worry. But he's a lawyer, Mom. Who is he? I looked at the card again and was shocked. It had the name of Mom's law firm written on it, and she was a lawyer who belonged there. Mom, he's from your law firm. Who? I told her the name, and she replied, that man, always taking on dubious cases. Can you ask him to drop the case? He might, but Thomas will just hire someone else. What should I do? After a pause, Mom said, I'll handle this for you. Thank you, Mom. I'll look into it. 2 weeks later, Mom called. I figured it all out. Thomas is a terrible man. I'll teach him a lesson. Mom told me about Thomas's devious plans. He's always been a ladies' man, but maybe I was wrong to marry him. You did nothing wrong, Madison. So you're okay with divorcing him? Absolutely. Then call Thomas and set up a meeting. You'll come too, right? Of course. I need to give him a piece of my mind. Make sure his lawyer comes too. I will. I called Thomas and told him we needed to discuss things and to set a date with his lawyer. Misunderstanding my intent, he said,
Oh, finally ready to pay the settlement? I'm all for that discussion. I'll check with my lawyer and call you back.
Even though Thomas wasn't short of money, he seemed eager to get a divorce settlement. The next day, Thomas called and we agreed to meet the following Saturday at 2 p.m. Come Saturday, my mom and I went to Thomas's house where he and his lawyer awaited. His lawyer arrived a bit late and seemed taken aback upon seeing my mom. Mom addressed the lawyer. Good to see you. Still taking on cases without proper research?
No, not at all. I always do thorough research before accepting my case.
Really? Then can you provide evidence of Madison's alleged affair? The lawyer, realizing he was concerned, remained silent.
Thomas, frustrated, said, Come on, lawyer, I'm paying you a premium for this. I wasn't informed that the opposing party would be represented by the head of my firm.
To our surprise, the lawyer quickly excused himself and left. Watching him, Mom sighed. He's always been like that. I'll have to let him go. Thomas looked defeated. Confronted by Mom for evidence of my supposed affair, Thomas went pale and confessed.
I'm sorry, I made up the story about Madison's affair. I wanted to be with Brittany and lied impulsively.
So Brittany was your affair? Yes, but I found out something about her.
What?
She is living with a boyfriend. They're not married, but he doesn't work and gambles all day.
Really?
Yes, and I suspect they might be after your money. Hearing this, Thomas broke down. Seeing him cry, I felt like crying too, but held back. Through his tears, Thomas looked up.
Madison, I'm truly sorry. I wish we could start over.
I was furious. How dare you? After having an affair and then wanting to get back with me? Thomas, you have no choice but to divorce Madison. Thomas, overwhelmed, sobbed uncontrollably. Why did you bring Brittany on our European trip? It's unthinkable to bring an affair on a trip with your wife.
I didn't want to, but Brittany insisted. She had never been to Europe and I gave in.
So you both were making fun of me?
I never intended to mock you, but I understand why you would feel that way.
Was Anthony Brittany's fake boyfriend?
Yes, he is an employee at my company. He was thrilled to go to Europe on a work trip and share a room with a young woman.
Your company will surely go bankrupt with you as the CEO. Thomas had no reply. Thomas, we'll proceed with the divorce. He remained silent, face down. Last time you demanded $50,000 from me. Now I am asking for $500,000. You can afford it, right? Thank you for your time. We'll be in touch. Mom and I left Thomas's house and returned home. I thanked Mom. Thanks for everything, Mom. It's my job. I'll send you the bill. Mom laughed. 3 months passed. I officially divorced Thomas, who promptly paid the settlement I demanded. Later, I heard that Thomas, still infatuated with Brittany, went to her house. Her boyfriend was home and after a chase caught Thomas outside a nearby store and beat him up, landing Thomas in the hospital for 2 months. Brittany reportedly watched and laughed. Now I'm in a new relationship and being cautious to avoid past mistakes. My new boyfriend is a kind lawyer from my mom's firm.